Thanks so much for being with us. As always, can't do the show without you watching. This is the Millstone Report. My name is Paul Harrell, and got another great show. Happy Thursday to everybody out there watching. Let's see, what do we got here today? First of all, this portion of the program brought to you by Red Vive Health. Go to redvivehealth.org/Paul. That's redvivehealth.org/Paul. And experience the healing power of light. We'll tell you more about their great red light panels and what it can do for your health later in the program. So when I got off the air yesterday, as soon as I got off the air, from X American News, the show starts at noon Central now. We had talked a great length about, the trade war between China and all of the tariffs and the markets down and everything else. And then as soon as I got off the air, and this is one of the pitfalls of being a one-man operation here. I don't have a producer. I run the show myself, as you guys can see. I'm not able to necessarily just peruse the headlines live. I do that before the show and show prep so that I can then bring you the news that I find interesting and relevant. So when the show's on, I'm not actually able to cover breaking news because I don't have anybody else doing that where somebody could say, hey, Trump just paused the tariffs for 70-something countries for 90 days and increased the tariffs on China. I didn't get that information. And it broke sometime while I was doing the show yesterday. And so anyway, that's what I found out. As soon as you get off the air, you kind of are like, oh, well, I wish I would have been able to include that relevant piece of information, but alas, I wasn't. But here it is. Yesterday, again, as soon as I got off the show, we had this statement from Donald Trump over on Truth Social based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets. I am hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the United States of America to 125% effective immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including the Department of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non-monetary tariffs, and that these countries have not, at my strong suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the United States, I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So tariffs are paused, the massive amount of tariffs on Liberation Day, as he called it. There was a very strategic thought out why some countries should pay higher than others, and now it's a flat rate of 10% during the next 90 days, and it was pretty amazing. The markets recovered pretty much instantly. Derek Evans posting a couple of how long ago this was yesterday? No, I'm sorry. He posted this on. Back on April the 9th at 4:07 after the markets closed. The Dow Jones finished up 2,965 points, which is the highest single-day gain in history. He also says this morning, that according to the White House, tariffs on China are now a total of 145%. According to the White House, that's what they told CNBC. So we've got a change from yesterday where he said it was going to be 125%. The White House now saying that those tariffs on China are now even greater, up to 145% now. And that news is driving the markets down once again. So now we don't have this issue with now you don't have the rest of the world reeling from the tariffs as much because it's a flat rate of 10%. But now the focus is on China. Now what's going to be exposed is just how dependent so many of our systems are, Wall Street is, on these cheaply made goods in China. And so we're going to see. I talked to a guy in, what was it? Let's see. It would have been after the election. It was a friend of mine. I guess it would have been sometime in, it was Thanksgiving. It was like a Thanksgiving thing for homeschoolers. And he's in the middle of building a house. And so he went ahead and purchased all the windows he needed from a wholesaler in China to get it to get him here before he was expecting very, very high tariffs on China. And so some people made those moves, appropriately. But now we're going to see an attempt to correct China essentially ripping off the entire world, but specifically America. And now I saw one headline where the Chinese are now appealing to the World Trade Organization, like they think Trump is a bully and they think Trump is treating them unfairly, and they want the WTO to step in. But that's just it's really a shame, because the Chinese government, their monetary policy, their currency manipulation has never fallen in line with the rules of the World Trade Organization in the first place. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens moving forward, and how much pain are the U.S. markets going to have to endure to correct this ship that's essentially based on unsound economic fundamentals. But you also have to understand we need to be making there's a huge national security problem here, and we need to understand that we've got to be able to make things in our own country, especially if you ever get into a situation where you do have some sort of war or another pandemic where the supply chains are not reliable. R.N. McIntyre has a post that's behind a paywall right now over at the Blaze, where he's remarking once again. He said this on Twitter earlier in the week, and we covered it, but he's reminding everybody about the Israeli pager attack against Hezbollah. You remember that last year they had these pagers, and in the supply line, as we're told, that they were intercepted, and the Israeli government, put basically explosives in the battery where they could be triggered. And he says, regardless of how you feel about that one way or the other, what he's saying is doesn't this highlight the need to be able to make our own stuff in country because of them potentially being intercepted? Or, you look at all the Chinese technology, the chips, everything. It is just now assumed, if you talk to anybody that knows anything, it's just assumed that all this technology has backdoor where the Chinese can spy on us or manipulate us or potentially even destroy our hardware. You think about hydroelectric dams and things like that, and a whole other types of infrastructure that we're at risk. Not to mention our steel not being as good quality when it's imported from other places. We need to make our military doesn't need to be reliant on our foreign adversaries, whether it's a military adversary or whether it's an economic adversary. I think China would be considered both of those things. So there's some fallout here. Some people said, the left, Trump caved. Some people, Wall Street Journal, trying to say, Trump did this because he knew it was going to trigger a recession. But Clandestine says, for those pushing the narrative that Trump caved, you're mistaken. Trump implemented the tariffs to prove to the world that he is willing to do it, adding validity to his threats, granting him all the leverage in negotiations and creating urgency, which is very much the art of the deal. I have seen those memes of President Xi Jinping reading The Art of the Deal, and then Trump is reading The Art of War. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I do think this is, with The Art of the Deal, essentially the way it works is, you come out of the gate with an extreme proposal, which gives you room to come down to actually get what you want. And also being willing to walk away if it doesn't work out in your favor. Always be willing to walk away from a deal. This is Trump's mentality. Clandestine going on to say, now that 75-plus countries have shown they are motivated to make a deal, Trump can take them down to 10% for 90 days to give all these nations time to negotiate a new deal. And again, these deals are not just about, this is what's interesting to me anyway, they're not just about tariffs, but they're also about other trade barriers, currency manipulation. So with each one of these countries that Trump's going to strike a deal with, hopefully, it's going to be comprehensive and specific to those certain countries based on different criteria. And, intellectual property theft is also another one of those. So if the country has strong intellectual property protections, unlike China, then they're going to pay a lower tariff. But if it's kind of the Wild West in their country, they're going to pay a higher tariff. They know in the back of their mind, he goes on, that if they don't reach a fair and reasonable deal in a timely fashion, the tariffs are going back up, and they know Trump is not afraid to go through with it because they just watched him do it. Trump is showing the world he means business and giving them an opportunity to calculate. Anyway, so that's one take. The Democrats having a meltdown yesterday, though. Here is Chuck Schumer says that he's agape. Interesting choice of word there. He's agape by Trump and tariffs.
The amount of money people have in their pockets, in their livelihoods, on something as vital as this, yes, it leaves you agape at what he is doing and how much damage he is causing and how little he cares.
It's so funny because the Democrats always wanted to tax the rich. The Democrats always wanted to eat the rich. And in this situation, like, Donald Trump has actually done more to accomplish those goals that they have been, the class warfare goals. Of course, we know the Democrats are all about corporations and big corporations and taking their money. And, they're just essentially liars. Republicans, too. Here's Adam Schiff, Senator Adam Schiff. He doesn't like what happened yesterday. Listen to this.
How concerned are you with this market fluctuation? And are you concerned that there could be members of the White House that are benefiting from it?
Absolutely. I'm writing to the White House to demand who knew in advance that the president was going to once again flip-flop on tariffs. And are people cashing in?
This is so disgusting. It's so disgusting because it's Congress that constantly, they benefit from insider trading all the time. It's their whole grift. It's why Adam Schiff's, net worth has grown since he's been in Congress. It's why Nancy Pelosi's. It's why other people's has as well. And the whole thing, my whole argument was, all these people talking about we got to take the power of tariffs away from Trump are really just upset because the stock market went down and they are losing money. And that's the main reason why they're upset, in my opinion. But it's rich. What's funny is Trump did tell everyone on Truth Social, buy the dip publicly. He said, buy the dip. And many people that did buy the dip were sitting pretty yesterday as the stock market went up. So, but now he wants some investigation. But if you remember on Monday, we told you that it was a fake news report. Somebody ran with a fake news report. The stocks went up briefly. Some people thought it was because the European Union, whatever her name is, Vanderloss or whatever, she came out and said, hey, we want to negotiate, and the stocks went up. But that wasn't the case. The reason the stocks went up on Monday and then crashed was because there was a leaked report that came out and said Trump is going to pause the tariffs for 90 days. And the White House immediately came out and immediately said, that is fake news. We're not going to pause them for 90 days. And now we know that they were likely considering it, and somebody leaked it. Somebody leaked the information, trying to take away, I think, Donald Trump's leverage. I would love to know who leaked the report that he was going to do it on Monday. They were going to pause it for 90 days. And then, of course, he comes out yesterday and does just that. Here is Donald Trump getting a question about how Pelosi and Schumer used to be all about tariffs.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they've been talking about tariffs for decades. How come when these Democrat elites want tariffs, everything's hunky-dory, but when President Trump wants tariffs, all hell breaks loose? Do you see this double standard?
I love this guy, whoever the hell that is. That's really nice. I appreciate that question. No, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, everybody knew you had to do it, but they never had the guts to do it. It does take guts. It even takes guts for our country to go through it. That's why I say be cool. They were saying about, just be cool. It's going to work out. It's going to work out, and it's working out. I can tell you, working out maybe faster than I thought. But I said it's going to take a little conditioning. It's a transition to. I think it's a transition to greatness. It's going to be greatness. Our country is going to be. There'll be nothing like it. And people investing in our country, they're going to do better than they've ever done before. We have more car manufacturers, Roger, coming into our country now. Speaking of cars, we've never seen anything like it. And they're coming in because of the election, but they're coming in because of the tariffs, because they don't want to pay 25 or 50 or whatever it may be.
All right, so also outside the White House yesterday, the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, no, actually, this is Caroline Leavitt talking about the media, how they totally missed what Donald Trump was doing.
If I could just add to what the Secretary said, many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here. You tried to say that the rest of the world would be moved closer to China when in fact we've seen the opposite effect. The entire world is calling the United States of America, not China, because they need our markets, they need our consumers, and they need this president in the Oval Office to talk to them. And that's exactly why more than 75 countries have called, because the United States of America is the best place in the world to do business. And as the president has shown great courage, as the secretary has said, in choosing to retaliate against China even higher.
So yeah, the very messaging narrative out of the White House is, hey, look, Donald Trump wrote the book Art of the Deal. You should have figured this out. Here is Scott Bessent from yesterday.
As I said, we've given 90 days, and the only certainty we can provide is that the U.S. is going to negotiate in good faith, and we assume that our allies will too. And in terms of certainty, we will see what China does. But what I am certain of is that what China is doing will affect their economy much more than it will ours, because they have an export-driven, flood the world with cheap export models, and the rest of the world now understands, because when we put up our tariff wall, those exports were already flowing to the rest of the G7 and to the global South.
And you think Mr. Secretary, how much of this decision was driven by the bond market cratering overnight? What is happening with bonds? Is China selling their bonds?
I have nothing that says that, and we actually had quite a good 10-year auction today, and all this was, again, this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along, and that, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors, and we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well.
I know people are comparing this to like a new Cold War now between China and America. The issue here that has to be, it's got to be a multifaceted situation, because you also have these, the ability for China to buy up land that's now trying to be discouraged. In my home state of Arkansas, I know there's laws on the books now. Look, we don't want the Chinese can't own land here. They've got to divest. Other states are trying to do the same thing, and so. And then you got to look at, how much influence does the Chinese government? I just saw I didn't pull it, but before we came on the air, they were debating something in Congress, and the allegation was that China has now passed a law. And again, this is just a report that China has passed a law that says, Chinese nationals in the United States that have student visas are now required to gather intelligence. And if that is in fact true, you will see a push, I think, from the right to cancel all Chinese student visas. As a matter of fact, somebody even said that yet before the news of the 90-day pause, somebody even said that yesterday, that in response to the tariffs, to China's, belligerence, that's one of the things Donald Trump should do is to cancel all Chinese student visas. We will see as things move forward. Now, what was very interesting yesterday is in the middle of this, when the news broke, there was a hearing going on between a Trump advisor and a Democrat congressman did not like it and tried to make it an issue that he just heard about the 90-day tariff pause. This is how freaked out the left was yesterday. Watch this.
Are you aware that the tariffs have been paused?
I am, yes.
When were you made aware of that?
Well, I understood the decision was made a few minutes ago.
Sitting here
under discussion.
Sitting here under discussion. So
this is Congressman Horsford.
Did you know that the that this was under discussion, and why did you not include that as part of your opening remarks?
So typically what I don't do is divulge the contents of my discussions with
What are the
President
details of the pause?
Well, my understanding is that because so many countries have decided not to retaliate, we're going to have about 90 days.
No, excuse me? China increased their tariffs on the United States. Trump blinked.
What's the blink, sir?
What do you know about this pause? What are the details of it?
Well, the details, as I understand it, is that China continues to...
I don't know if Congressman Horsford here understood that China increased the tariffs. What the totality of the statement was, we're increasing the tariff on China. I think he's totally ignorant here. The United States paused 90 days on the 70-something countries that didn't retaliate, but he increased on China. He's trying to say Trump blinked. Was he under the impression that Donald Trump eliminated the tariffs on China as well? I think he was. I think he was under the impression that Trump blinked and canceled all the tariffs, including China. But that was not the case.
Blinked.
Let's go back.
And not to retaliate, we're going to have about 90 days.
No, excuse me? China increased their tariffs on the United States.
Yeah.
Trump blinked.
No, that's not what happened,
sir.
What do you know about this pause? What are the details of it?
Well, the details, as I understand it, is that China continues to retaliate. Other countries didn't retaliate. The president 2 or 3 days ago said we wanted to negotiate with those countries that asked for meetings. That's what we're doing.
What are the
We've had
details? How long is the pause? How many days? How many weeks?
I understand it's 90 days. I haven't spoken to the president since I've been.
So the trade representative hasn't spoken to the president of the United States about a global reordering of trade.
Yes, I have. I've just been in the hearing with you, sir.
But yet he announced it on a tweet. WTF? Who's in charge?
The president of the United States is in charge.
And what do you know about those details?
Well, as I mentioned...
it looks like your boss just pulled the rug out from under you. Is this market manipulation?
No.
Why not? If it was a plan, if it was always the plan, how is this not market manipulation?
It's not market manipulation, sir.
Well, then what is it? Because it sure is not a strategy.
We're trying to reset the global trade system.
We're trying to reset the global trade system. Wow, that's so painful to watch. That Congressman Horsford guy, he's not really it's evident that he's not a very intelligent person. We'll say that. All right, before we go any further, I'm going to tell you about the great folks at Red Vive and Red Vive Health. Red Vive devices emit red and near-infrared light designed to reduce muscle and joint inflammation and pain. It stimulates cellular energy and speeds up recovery. It will boost your skin collagen. It will strengthen your body and boost your mood. Red and near-infrared light are two different wavelengths. They are naturally emitted by the sun, but in targeted doses, which is what these red light panels deliver, these different waves have a healing effect on the body. Red light is absorbed by your skin, leading to enhanced skin health, collagen production, and anti-aging properties. Near-infrared light, the second wavelength, penetrates deeper into the body, reaching your bones, muscles, tissues, and even organs. So you can experience scientifically proven anti-aging benefits and improve skin health. You can reduce wrinkles, color patches, hyperpigmentation, skin discoloration. Research has shown it can enhance the production of collagen for skin rejuvenation, and I want you to try it today. But you also have the ability to unlock your body's true potential, because you can, doing this with a near-infrared light, increases your energy, which will reduce inflammation. It also can regulate hormones. It can boost your immune system. Early research has shown the possibility of combating depression and anxiety when using red and near-infrared light therapy in combination with other treatments. I want you to do your own research. All of the research is there at redvivehealth.org/Paul. That's the link, and you get a discount. Check it out now. And also, remember, there is 0% interest financing available for those that qualify. Check this out. This is the medicine of the future, and the future is now. That's redvivehealth.org/Paul, redvivehealth.org/Paul. So somebody decided to make an Animaniacs version of Trump's tariffs with all these countries, and I found it rather amusing. But it's a good little exclamation point on the segment today on tariffs. Do you guys remember?
And now, the nations of the world, brought to you by Donald Trump. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic, Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, 2, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina.
It goes
Ecuador,
on and on
Chile,
and on.
Brazil.
Honestly, I don't know how somebody does something like this. I don't know. Is there an AI that can scrub all videos? I don't even know where that would be. But anyway, it goes on and on and on, and it's rather amusing. And unfortunately, I don't actually know who did it, but anyway, it's pretty funny. We're going to take a 60-second break, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to hear from our good friend, Mr. Mike Lindell. Don't go anywhere.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
So remember, you go to MyPillow.com. Make sure you use my promo code PH. Would very much appreciate it. And also, they're now selling an energy drink that has no caffeine in it. And I tried it last night, and the flavor was off the charts. And I did feel it was a very interesting. It's supposed to be for your brain health. You're going to hear more about that. But if you go to my page, mypillow.com/PH, you can actually see they're now selling these really tasty energy drinks, again, that don't have like a ridiculous amount of caffeine in them or anything else. So make sure you do that. You know, what's interesting is I haven't covered this next story at all. The tragic death of Austin Metcalf in Texas. It has actually sparked a very interesting debate online about violent black culture. And I want to have a conversation about that today, because, where my mind instantly goes is it goes to Christianity, cultural Christianity, and church. And that's where my mind immediately goes. And then if you look at specifically the black church in America, and not to just completely generalize, here I go qualifying, but for the most part, the black church, as far as I can tell, is quite apostate. And I think that has a direct correlation between this debate, and I think it needs to be included when we talk about black culture. Because this debate has now been ignited, not just by me, but people like Jason Whitlock and others over this tragic situation. For those of you who don't know, I don't even know how you don't know at this point, but essentially we have this guy, Carmelo Anthony, at a track meet. He was in the wrong tent, was asked to move, and then he stabbed Austin Metcalf to death and ran off. And so among a lot of people online, leftists and people who are black, they have been taking Carmelo Anthony's side of this. He's raised a ton of money on Give, Send, Go, and people are upset about that as well. Actually, in many cases, raised more than the family of Austin Metcalf. But here's somebody on TikTok debunking this narrative that this was self-defense. There's now a narrative out there that, and we'll see, it'll all play out in court. There's plenty of witnesses, but take a listen to this. This will kind of get us up to speed.
Austin did not punch Anthony, which caused him to whip out the blade. That was a fake report from a fake page. I don't know how all of you guys are falling for it. Don't scroll, let me explain and show you proof. As you guys know, Austin lost his life to what the news is saying is over a seat during a track meet when Anthony whipped out a blade. People seen this post from this fake page saying that Austin punched Anthony, so what Anthony did was in self-defense, just to be corrected by the police department a couple of hours later, saying that that's a fake page. They never wrote that. They even posted this on their main website, on Twitter, on their Instagram account, and you guys are still saying that he punched him. The police never said that he punched Anthony. The police never said that he broke Anthony's phone. You guys are getting that off of a fake page. Is it that hard to wait for the police to actually come out and say something before you guys automatically start getting on a boy that has sadly passed away?
So it continues. You actually have the police report. Police report of Carmelo Anthony has been released. It happened as expected, was in another school's tent, was asked to leave politely. And we don't know how politely, and we don't really know if it was polite. Doesn't really matter. He refused to leave. This person says belligerently. And then when they tried to move him, he stabbed the boy in the heart and ran away like a coward, is what Mr. Obvious says on X. We have another person, Sarah Fields, says, quote, "I'm literally receiving death threats for doing my job as a journalist and releasing an arrest report. This in particular destroys their narrative. If you attack a journalist for revealing the truth, you're on the wrong side." So we hear part of the police report reads, the victim, Austin, and the suspect, who was later identified as Carmelo Anthony. Anthony was from Centennial High School and was sitting under the Memorial High School tent. Austin had told Anthony that he needed to move out from under the team's tent, a reasonable request, and Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." No one really thought Anthony really had any weapons in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Anthony, and then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out what was recalled as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Austin began grabbing his chest and telling everyone to get help. Somebody advised he did not know Anthony's name, but stated another Memorial Track member was friends with Anthony, and he could help identify Anthony. Somebody described Anthony as a black male, skinny, with a possibly a goatee, short, puffy hair, and wearing a Centennial High School clothing. This concluded contact with a witness. I then was instructed to start a crime scene log. So this is an officer's report. This is a filed police report. This is what the officer said. This is what the court is going to, part of the evidence that the court is going to hear. And, of course, there's plenty of witnesses that are going to testify. Unfortunately, the prosecutor in this case is not going to be seeking life in prison, according to the report I read, and is not going to be seeking the death penalty here either, which boggles the mind if the story is true. Rob Smith decided to make a video about this and called out the violent black culture that's on display. We'll listen to a little bit of this. Take a listen.
Black people across the country who, by the way, have the lowest median income of any other group in this country, by the way, that seem to take the choice and make the choice to dig into their wallets and to shell out money for a young black teenager that killed another teenager. This is what we glorify in black culture. This is what people stand up for in black culture. And I'm tired of people being too afraid to say what is really the truth about what's going on.
So at the time Rob Smith recording this, he's got this photo of how much the people have given to Carmelo Anthony, and it looks like it's over $230,000 that's been raised for the guy that did the stabbing
in that community. Now, I've been all over this on TikTok and on Instagram, and I don't really get into too many of the comments, but what I've been seeing from a lot of these black people that are in the comment sections writing against me, like calling me all the names that they always call me, is that they're saying, well, Carmelo Anthony, like that white kid shouldn't have been an aggressor. You don't get up in people's face and you don't get up in people's face like that. So what you are telling me is that if somebody gets into your face and if somebody is aggressive towards you, then that gives you the right to kill them. It's completely absurd. But again, it's a lack of accountability culture. Blacks in this country are take zero accountability. It is a no accountability culture.
This is self-evidently the case, generally speaking. Stereotypes exist because people reinforce those stereotypes every single day. Stereotypes exist. They don't just come out of nowhere. Stereotypes exist because people reinforce them every single day in front of a watching world that sees, files it away, makes assumptions. And honestly, for self-preservation goals, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We've been led to believe there's something wrong with stereotyping, but there actually really truly isn't. When the other side is to be completely ignorant and actually potentially put you or your family in danger. I want to remind everybody that this portion of the program is brought to you by Curable Premium Health, and you can go to curable.com for their amazing CBD products. We'll tell you more about the great CBD at curable.com. Use promo code Paul20 here in just a moment. A little bit more from Rob Smith here, and then I've got to move on because I've got even more to talk about this debate that's erupted about black culture and violence.
Because only a no accountability culture can exist like this. Only a zero accountability culture can be where blacks are in society right now, at the lowest bottom of the barrel when it comes to income, when it comes to wealth, when it comes to net worth, when it comes to education, like all of this stuff. And that can only come from a zero accountability culture.
So the comedian Chris Rock, in one of his specials years and years and years ago when I was growing up, he had a bit where he talked about how black people tend to brag about things that other people just do without wanting to get recognition for. I think one of the things he said was, I take care of my kids. And he's like, well, yeah, you're supposed to take care of your kids. What do you want, a medal? Anyway, it's pretty funny that this has been kind of a pattern for a very, very long time. Jack Posobiec says there is currently no evidence Carmelo Anthony acted in self-defense. Also, a crowd of people witnessed what he did. None of them gave conflicting statements that present any scenario other than a shock stabbing. Videos, photos, anything, pretty much nothing. Here is somebody named Jason Stands for Truth over on X, actually breaking down what is a viral video of a lady totally taking Carmelo's side, saying that it was totally justified and white people basically need to watch out. Listen to this.
Austin Metcalf got exactly what he deserved. Point blank, period.
No, he didn't, but let's see what else she has to say.
It's time out for feeling sorry for somebody's feelings or feeling emotional about somebody's feelings. Austin Metcalf should have kept his damn hands to himself.
She also said this.
Hands to himself. When the young man told him, touch me and see, you bet not touch me, that meant that I don't want you in my space. I don't want you touching me. Rosa Parks days is over. You cannot think that you can move somebody out of a seat that you don't own.
And there's the key.
Well, first of all, I mean, it was their tent and their space for their team. So, yeah, matter of fact, he was there. I mean, you could say, I don't know if trespassing is a legal term. It's probably too strong of a word, but he wasn't supposed to be there. And they're a team. I don't know much about track, but I mean, maybe there's strategy involved, and you talk with your teammates. I don't know.
It's about race. She's very likely supporting Carmelo because he's black, and she's against Austin because he's white. This had nothing to do with Rosa Parks.
No, it didn't. But that's kind of interesting. You're going to invoke Rosa Parks. Okay, everything's got to be looked through the frame of race and civil rights. Unlimited L's reporting Carmelo Anthony posted the photo on the right just hours before stabbing Austin Metcalf to death. The other photo was shared 6 weeks ago. So there we see him holding what looks to be some sort of semi-automatic rifle. Is that, I don't know what that is. Is that an AK-47? I don't know. But people are, keen on this as part of, okay, what kind of culture is this? And, what would cause, this is the reason why you had this just immediate overreaction, stabbing to the chest. And this is where Matt Walsh came in back on April the 3rd. So, I'm 7 days out here. I haven't even touched this story because I've been talking about other things and only have an hour a day to talk. But Matt Walsh took a lot of heat for this, but he's exactly right. He writes, if I told you that a young man stabbed another young man to death for telling him that he was in the wrong seat, and then I told you that one young man in this altercation was white and the other black, and then I asked you to guess the race of the assailant, every single person would know the answer immediately. He goes on, young black males are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. That's just a fact. We all know it, and it's time that we speak honestly about it, or nothing will ever change. Okay, so he took a lot of heat for that decision. But here is Jason Whitlock, who is black, and this was his take on what Matt Walsh said. Take a listen.
Black pride is good, and Black Lives Matters is good. It's just when people take it out of context. No, you're promoting idolatry. A religion, a racial idolatry, a religion based on skin color.
All right, this is going to be very important for later in this segment. I want you to remember what Jason Whitlock said. Promoting idolatry, the idolatry of race, promoting a religion. And so we're going to talk about black church here in just a minute, courtesy of Woke Preacher Clips. But I think this is relevant, and I think this is one of the main problems, if not the main problem, is the apparent apostate status of the black church.
And that skin color religion, black culture, trains kids up to adopt every materialistic, hedonistic, violent behavior possible. You're part of the problem, and you don't want to admit it, and you want to point your finger at Matt Walsh and say, no, he's the problem. Matt Walsh is not going to kill one black kid. And Matt Walsh, I'm betting here, haven't asked him, haven't talked to him about it, but I bet you he hates black culture and rejects black culture. And you should hate black culture and reject black culture because it's killing black kids. And it killed Austin Metcalf. It's a death culture. Everybody knows it. But everybody thinks, well, I've got the right amount of black culture. It hadn't killed me, so it must be harmless. And you'll watch all these other people die from it, but if it didn't hurt you, who cares? And you wonder why Matt Walsh and white people may be like, okay, as long as y'all keep that violent SHIT in your neighborhood, I don't care. Because you clearly don't care.
It's hard to argue with. He's exactly right. Jason Whitlock, and by the way, keep in mind this culture of death, violent culture of death, as well as I think he's really onto something when he talks about the idolatry of skin color and essentially creating a religion based on your skin color. Okay? That's the foundation. That's the main foundation. Not Christ being the foundation. Christ, if he's talked about it all, is put above this foundation of skin color and blackness. So this is why Whitlock, in a later episode, over the course of the last 7 days, says that he thinks that America is now giving up on racial harmony. And he says, I understand why one would want to give up this goal of racial harmony.
I think America is giving up on racial harmony. And I really do. And I understand why you would want to give up. But we shouldn't give up. But I understand the feeling. I was born into a country and into a culture. While not perfect, we were all pushing forward, all looking for shared values, all looking for a society that judged people on the content of their character, not on the color of their skin. And we've completely pivoted away from that.
He's 100% right. You know, so I just think about my own experience surviving public school. Of course, I went to public school in Arkansas, which still very much, it was comparatively speaking, there would have been way worse places to get a government education, a government school. It's obviously, insane now in a lot of respects. But, you think about it, like I remember this push, it was just, everybody felt just altruistic about it. We knew blacks and whites were different, but you had this, it was very post-racial. I mean, looking back to where we are now, I look back at, my childhood, elementary school, junior high, high school, and you just think, man, race was really not a big deal. I mean, it was there. It was evident. People naturally congregate with people that look like them. There was still, those divisions, but there really was this, like Whitlock said, it was like there was this unspoken, like, racial harmony is our goal, and this is what we want. And, of course, I think the problem with racial harmony for racial harmony's sake is an issue. Like, what are we even doing here, right? Versus just individual situations and that you may find yourself in, to treat somebody else like a human being, treat somebody else like they're created in the image of God, versus just this like quota you can get yourself into, which is just nonsense. But yeah, I think that he's exactly right, and yet the reason people are done with this racial harmony just for racial harmony's sake is because apparently all of that messaging, all of that propaganda was nonsense. And I heard somebody say, well, maybe it was more white people and their understanding of more of a racial harmonious society in the 90s, but black people weren't on board. They didn't feel that way. I have no idea. I don't really know what black people felt about that. I know what Jason Whitlock says, but yeah, people are done because all of that color blindness, all of the unnatural urges, urges to not stereotype. Everybody kind of, well, if you see that, just don't mention that, stuff that down, don't think about it. People are done with that now because I think they see what the consequences of it are. And it's essentially having to deny reality, deny stereotypes, deny what your own eyes see for some racial harmonious goal, just for racial harmony's sake, instead of something that would be based in the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's now based on man's terms, and I think that's why people are done. And then obviously the murder, apparent murder, it was murder of Austin Metcalf by Carmelo Anthony is once again kind of bringing these issues in this debate to the forefront. So to illustrate my point about the 90s, somebody named Huff, let's see, who is this? Huff for Congress? He's running for Congress. I don't know who this person is. Never seen him before. But he says, by 1999, racism in America was virtually gone, thanks largely to these four men. No, you don't understand. It was gone. And he has 4 pictures here for those of you watching or listening to the audio-only version of the podcast. You have Bill Cosby and The Cosby Show, which I remember was very popular in my house. You have Reginald Vell Johnson, the dad from Family Matters, who, by the way, according to allegations, is gay and went to Diddy parties. And but anyway, that's a whole other That's a whole nother rabbit trail. Also, you know, the famous Carl Winslow, he's famous also for the Die Hard movies. You had The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which was also very popular. And you had Michael Jordan, right? The greatest athlete of all time. And he's saying, look, these four men, and if you really go back, like these four pictures for me as somebody who is 40 years old, grew up in the 90s, you know, in the late 80s, these four pictures really do put me back in a time where race was just not talked about the way it is today, in that we have gone backwards. And we have gone backwards because of these four men. Thanks, he goes on, he says, but thanks to these other four men, all of that's been erased. And he's got a picture of Carmelo Anthony, he's got a picture of Barack Obama, and he's got a picture of George Floyd, and I actually don't know who that fourth guy is. So it's really a tale of two generations. But in the 90s, we didn't have the intel oligarch-funded media pushing Marxism, cultural Marxism. We didn't have the media pushing the race wars the way they do now. So there's a big difference. In the 90s, this feeling right here, the images that you get from here, just being an average kid, you go back and you think, wow, yeah, there really wasn't. I mean, like, people loved, there's so many white families that watched TGIF. And yeah, they loved Full House, but they also liked Family Matters, right? They liked Steve Urkel. They liked these shows. They liked The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They loved Michael Jordan. And now it's just completely different. I mean, you think of the political activism of somebody like Michael Jordan, which is essentially zero, versus the, you know, who we're told the GOAT is today, LeBron James, which is a complete, you know, what a joke that is. It's totally different, right? I mean, LeBron James is not a racially neutral figure. He is a political pawn when people want him to be. To my knowledge, I don't think Michael Jordan really ever was used that way. Likewise, Tiger Woods refused to play and dance to that beat as well, for the most part. So, let's talk about, you know, modern day politicians like Jasmine Crockett.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now.
Here's Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett speaking at the Grace Baptist Church. So now we're getting into the black church aspect of this, because I think it must be addressed. If you're going to have any hope of solving the violence in black culture that we're on display that's being debated right now, you have to talk about the apostate, generally speaking, black church.
Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton.
So she's essentially stumping in this black church for illegal immigration because she wants the illegals to pick the cotton, and she doesn't want, she knows that black people just won't do it anymore. Which brings me to this. Here is a Tennessee state representative by the name of Justin Pearson. Tennessee state representative Justin Pearson is from Memphis, Tennessee. Tennessee state representative Justin Pearson gave a sermon at a black church where he made really just a terrible exegetical. I mean, you can't get any worse exegesis out of a piece of scripture. He's talking about when Jesus went into the temple and turned over the tables of the money changers and ran people out of the temple with a whip. He's talking about this, but he's saying that the legs of those tables are race issues. The legs of those tables are LGBTQ issues. Listen to this.
There indeed is a tabletop. But underneath every tabletop are some legs.
Yeah, some legs.
The tabletop is white supremacist ideology.
Yeah, okay. All right.
But the legs are a white supremacist domestic terrorist president. Neo-Nazis forming and marching in Tennessee. Leaders of the current presidential administration saying things like, I was racist before it was cool. Legs of separation of black folks and white folks. The creation of racism and its othering within our educational system, like my mama studies. The erasure of black history, saying it has no value. There's some tables that have legs, like deporting Latino brothers and sisters without due process, while a convicted felon runs the country, convincing poor white folks that they're better than the most educated and well-to-do black folks. There's some legs underneath the tabletop.
So you see, like, there's literally, it's a Christless service. This is not about Christ. This is not about the reconciliation he brings to sinners, that he saves sinners. There's no mention about the sins of the people in the audience, how they need to repent of those sins, how they need to confess those sins to God. This is all about the perfection of the people in the audience, pointing fingers of the world, and using political issues to warp the gospel. There's really even no mention of the gospel, no mention of Christ. And this is one of the reasons why the black culture is the way it is. Because, and I'm not saying there's not gospel-believing black churches out there. Of course there are. But this is the most, from what I can tell, this appears to be the common plight of a typical black church. And there's no talk about Jesus and making much of Jesus. He finished his sermon, and it sounded like this.
Table flipping, God sent table flipping, you and you and you and you. Yes, God sent you to flip the tables of poverty. God sent you to flip the tables of destitution. God sent you to tip the tables of the attacks on humanity. God sent you. 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 God brought you out of the cosmos to flip the tables of this whole world. God called you out of heaven to flip the tables of this whole world. So no weapon formed against you will be able to prosper. No weapon formed against you will be able to prosper. So speak on, fight on, believe on, flip the tables, 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 let them talk, flip the tables, let them hate ya, flip the tables, let them know, though I walk through the valley.
So it goes on like that, for like another minute and a half. I think I rest my case. You get the point. You're going to talk about this issue. I think you have to talk about the church and really just the lack of a foundation of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and letting that inform your worldviews versus what we're experiencing right now, and how people, again, have given up, according to Jason Whitlock, are tired, and they're giving up on this racial reconciliation for racial reconciliation's sake. I want to tell you about Curable CBD and the great products that they have over at curable.com. We really appreciate partnering with them, and I want you to get your CBD from Curable, because not only is it the best at the price, the amount of concentration, 2,500 milligrams. Not only is it the best, but it's also the cleanest, because they don't use pesticides. They handle every bit of this. The farm, they plant, they till, they plant, they extract from the hemp, they ship it off to a third party. So you know what you're getting is good. It's not just good, it's great, it's clean, and it's good for you. But then you get to the aspects of CBD and what it can do for your body, decrease your inflammation, fight your inflammation. The muscle cream is my favorite, and I recommend it to anyone who is remotely physically active. I was doing, trying to redouble my fitness goals, been lifting some weights, doing a shoulder press, and I got to tell you, my left shoulder last night was in a lot of pain. And so I used the muscle cream, and it works wonders. I mean, it really does. It penetrates and it gets in there, and it gives you relief. It's a lot better than popping a bunch of, ibuprofen or NSAIDs. Go to curable.com. Check out their also their melatonin and CBD gummies. Those work very well as well for a great night's sleep. I want you to get your CBD from Curable Premium Health. That's Curable Premium Health. Go to curable.com, Kuribl, Kuribl. Use promo code Paul20 and save 20%. That's all the time that we have for this edition of the Millstone Report. Unless I'm providentially hindered, I'm going to be back here wishing you a happy Friday. Maybe we'll talk a little about Maha. There's been a ton of stuff going on about Robert Kennedy Jr. But God bless everybody out there watching, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
The very foundation of the Christian faith is based